Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 10K Project and tonight's Bet on Black pitch. We have yet again another amazing founders to present to you this evening, Halen Technologies. As I shared with you guys earlier in the week and earlier this evening, this is a tech company that has simplified tech, right? And so I love what they're doing. I can't wait for them to tell you all about the project. But first, as you know, we will go to the campaign page just to show you some specifics. For anyone watching the replay, you will be able to find the link in your newsletter that you'll receive. For all of you this evening, as a reminder, we'll be putting the campaign link in the chat throughout the evening. It'll be in there about 30 times. So if you miss it the first time our admin puts it in, just go ahead and copy and paste it. You can even click on it and then save it in your browser so that you can have it for later. So I am going to share my screen. Right, I think you guys can see this. This campaign is on WeFunder. As I stated, it's called Halen Technologies. They are currently have raised $85,000 of their $250,000 goal. The minimum investment amount is $100. This is a company with a $15 million valuation cap. And as you can see, that just was decreased from 20 million. It's a future equity deal. They do also have an early bird bonus. So as you can see up top there, it's $115 left in the early bird. So please, if you're interested in this campaign, you want to take advantage of the early bird, right? So if you're going to invest anyway, why not take advantage of the early bird? So I always tell you, I'm not a financial advisor, so it's not my job to tell you what to invest in. However, if after this campaign pitch is over and you do your due diligence and you decide this fits in your portfolio nicely, don't leave the early bird money on the table, right? So you're already gonna do it. Take advantage of the early bird. All right. This is WeFunder. So I wanna take you through some of the components of this campaign. The one thing I want you to know that this campaign is still in testing the waters, which simply means they have not yet filed their Form C or it has not yet been approved. So I'll let the guys talk about that in their presentation, but the Form C has not yet been filed. Typically, you would find that down at the bottom of the page. And I'll show you where you can see if a campaign is still in testing the waters. If you go to the very bottom, you'll see that paragraph right down there that says they're still in testing the waters phase. So essentially what you will be doing is you will be reserving your place, right? So it's still an official reservation. It allows you to get the security that they're offering, because a lot of times once companies reach their max, the campaigns close down. So you don't want to say, if you're already interested, you don't want to say, well, I'll wait for them to file the Form C before I, make my reservation, because it could be that Form C could be filed and then this campaign meets its goal and it could close. So yeah, I'll take you back to the one, remember early back last year when we started, remember Cherie, our CEO, missed out on an opportunity because she was waiting till the last minute. And I always go back to that because she knows, she knows this industry backwards and forwards. And even she missed a good opportunity. All right. So here's where you see all of the information. I'll say what I say every week when we look at these campaign pages. The founders put a lot of energy in making sure that you see everything necessary for you to understand who they are, what their plans are, what the goals are, what their successes have been, right? And so please take the time and read the entire campaign page. I think it's really, really helpful before you even ask some of your questions, which is why I love that the discussion page is there, right? The ask a question page, because after tonight, we'll ask some questions, you'll get some answers, but then as you read through the campaign page, you'll think of additional questions. And this is where you want to submit those, right? And you want to submit them here and not try to email the founder for two reasons. One, legally, this space is here because the SEC says this is how you should be, and FINRA also says it in their regulations, that this is where you should communicate with the founder, right? The other part of that is you want to make sure that if you have a really good question, someone else can benefit from it. And so put it here so that more people can continue to learn. When I first started, I learned more about the process by reading the questions and answers than I did from watching the campaign videos a lot of times. So just utilize the space, okay? All right, with that said, I'm gonna stop sharing. And then I am gonna turn it over to these handsome gentlemen to tell us about Halen Technologies and themselves. The floor is yours, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tawana. And thanks for the community for allowing us to pitch and just be part of the community. My name is Edward Mbeche, and I'm the founder and CEO of Halen. And we have Kennedy, who is our chief of staff, and Rich is our chairperson for the board of advisor. And I kind of invited them to just kind of be able to kind of see if there's any maybe a blind spot that I did not answer, maybe they'll be able to answer with me. And Kennedy will be doing the presentation for the pitch, and then we'll just be able to kind of answer any question. Go ahead, Kennedy, if you want to just introduce yourself, please.
Yeah. Well, as Ed said, my name is Kennedy Ross. I am the chief of staff, and I pretty much kind of have been with Ed through the length of this process. We've known each other for over a decade now. This is, I think, our second or third business venture together. I pretty much kind of help see things through, you know, kind of handle more of the employees, the personal, you know, relationships with the company, et cetera, et cetera. I kind of also handle communications, putting out our messages, information on our website, things of that nature. So it's good for me. I enjoy it, and I'm just been happy to see where Ed has led us in this journey, and looking forward to much more.
Yeah, let me introduce myself. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to spend some time together this evening. My name is Rich Schumann. As a background, prior to meeting Ed and the team and the board members, I grew up in large consumer goods, Tony the Tiger, Kellogg's, and held roles from early in the career to leaving that company as CFO of a geographical region, Kellogg's Australia. Last 15 years have been in advising family-held businesses, holding roles as strategy, COO, and president of medical device and wellness company. So this interest of where Ed and the team are taking it is just something that it's of interest to me, but it's of value to me to be able to come alongside other team members and guide them. That's what motivates me. And as a startup, there's a lot of opportunity to do that. So that's the value that I bring with a broader team of advisory board members.
All right. So whenever you're ready, Ed, we can start.
Okay, perfect. Now I should be able to share. We can start with the pitch deck.
Cool. So I hope everyone can see the screen. So basically, as you can see, Halen Technology was, as you saw, started by Edward Mbeche. He's, again, our CEO and our founder. Ed has over 20 years of experience in the transportation and hospitality industry, including owning a successful limousine company in Washington, D.C., and creating the predecessor to the Halen app, which was a rideshare app called Global Sedan. And so what we're creating now is the Halen Super App. Now, for those who are not familiar with that term, a super app is an app that contains multiple services in one system. So the 6 services that we'll be offering will be rideshare, food delivery, grocery delivery, retail delivery, and then there'll be also flight booking and vacation rentals. Now, a common misconception that we've encountered over the past several months of explaining what we do is people believing that our app will be a hub of sorts where you can order an Uber or a Grubhub or things like that. That will not be the case. We will be an entirely standalone system with our own drivers, with our own customer service, and with our own relationships with the hundreds of merchants around the country catering to our very own clients. So as I said, we've been at this for over 14 months now, spending over 2,000 man hours developing our MVP, which is our minimally viable product. We have over 200 screens completed so far. And thanks to Ed's work with Global Sedan, we have a database of over 4,500 drivers and 800 clients waiting to be alerted that the next big thing is here. And actually, big is a big understatement. So the 6 services we'll be providing, again, rideshare, food, grocery, retail delivery, as well as flight booking and vacation rentals, have a total market share value of $1.5 trillion. Now, I didn't say million, I didn't say billion. I said a combined market share value of $1.5 trillion. And now I get to talk about my favorite part. So here's the part that's going to separate us from the Ubers and the DoorDashes and the Postmates of the world. This is the part where we here at Halen affectionately call our secret sauce. And that's the franchise business model that we're using. And it's not terribly complex. It's pretty much like every other franchise system that you're familiar with today, like KFC's or Pizza Hut or McDonald's. The difference is that we'll be the only mobile delivery service on the planet that will be using it. So how's it going to work? How are we going to do this? So we're going to be franchising by county. So we will start in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, and we will select one franchise owner for each one of the participating counties. So let's say in Arlington County, we'll select Veronica, and she'll be the Arlington County franchise owner. Veronica sets up a franchise office within the county. She hires office and customer service personnel from the county to man the office and provide customer service for all their clients within that county. They will also provide driver assistance for all of the drivers that she has in that county. So as a resident of Arlington County, if you use Halen and have an issue or want some information, Veronica's office is who you'll be contacting. Not like when you try to contact customer service at Uber or Grubhub and you're on hold for like 10 or 15 minutes just to talk to someone who you might have trouble understanding because they're actually located in India or the Philippines or something like that. When you call Halen customer service, you'll hear, "Thank you. Thank you for calling Halen. This is Sean. How may I help you?" And Sean will most likely be from your neighborhood because Halen is about serving and empowering communities to uplift themselves. And as you can see here, we provide online support just like all the others. But unlike the rest, we'll have 24/7 local support, like I just mentioned. The franchise business model will also make it possible to provide community involvement with things like food drives and charity walks. And one of the big benefits for Halen drivers is the opportunity to make some real money by having a consistent stream of gig availability because they have 4 different services that they can perform instead of waiting around for that one single gig to pop up, whenever it does. So there are several pain points for drivers as well as clients that we have identified and are going to address, but let's not forget the merchant partners, the stores and the restaurants. They incur steep fees for using these services by our competitors. Then, as I just mentioned, drivers have extended wait times between gig assignments, resulting in a cumulatively lower payday than if they were kept busy all day. And for clients, there are personal and financial information security risks that are involved. If you have 6 separate apps to perform 6 separate services, that is 6 separate opportunities that hackers and identity thieves have to gain access to your valuable information. With Halen, you reduce their opportunity and subsequently that risk dramatically just by simply using one secure app for all of those 6 services. Halen and our franchise business model will alleviate all of these issues. So I know you're probably thinking, this all sounds great, but why should I invest in something so big now? And of course, you expect me to say, now is the best time, but it actually is. And here's why. All 6 of these services in this $1 trillion market are at all-time highs, and are just getting higher. There was almost no way to make it through a pitch without mentioning the pandemic. And as ugly and as depressing as the past 2 years have been, there's actually been a silver lining, excuse me. The pandemic has resulted in a restructuring of how Americans make purchases. As you may or may not have heard, several industries exploded during the pandemic, and most of these services were a part of that. People who never used mobile food delivery before were forced to at least try it during the pandemic. And you know what the overwhelming response was? We like it. So the foundation has been laid to provide local and community economic growth. And let me say this again, there is currently no other super app in the United States. So we are not only in position to establish America's first super app, we are not only in position to establish America's first Black-owned super app, we are in position to establish the largest and most successful Black-owned tech company in the United States. And we're not just a pie in the sky organization. We do have a roadmap for this success. Our go-to-market strategy and customer acquisition includes a penetrating media campaign, and of course, an increase in driver acquisition, strategic partnerships, referral programs, and rapid franchise growth. So our franchise plan is to test market in Washington, D.C. and the surrounding area. Then within the first 8 to 12 months, expand to have at least one franchise in Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, and Pennsylvania. And then in the following 1 to 2 years, recreate that in New York, Illinois, New Jersey, Ohio, Michigan, Georgia, North Carolina, Florida, and Massachusetts. And of course, the big question is, how are you guys going to make money? Okay, so the macro view is a three-way split, 70, 20, 10. In simplest terms, if a client pays us $10 to perform a mobile delivery service for them, the driver gets $7 or 70% of every job he does. The franchise owner gets $2 or 20% of every job that every driver that works for him or her in that county does. And Halen, we get $1 or 10% of every job that every driver in the country does. So that micro view can be seen here in the slide. And basically, like a quick example, on the low end, if we start with 5 counties and we have 150 drivers per county, so that's 750 drivers. If each of those drivers completes somewhere around 24 gigs a day, that's 18,000 gigs in one day. And if they work 5 days a week at $10 a gig, that's a lot of math, but it basically comes out to over $46 million in one calendar year. Add to that, the average franchise fee that Halen will receive for a franchise is about $75,000. And the revenue from vacation rentals and flight booking are also included. And those don't involve drivers or franchises. So that's 100% Halen revenue. As the saying goes, those dollars add up. So of course, to put all this in motion, it's going to take a whole lot of money. For complete startup and sustainability for the first year, we're trying to raise a total of $2.5 million. And we're using, as you may remember, the SAFE method, which is a simple agreement for future equity for a delayed valuation. And that simply means that we're projecting that within 2 years, our company will be valuated at over $20 million. But by investing in our company now, you secure your place at a lower valuation, which will benefit you when our growth exponentially increases. Now, we're not expecting that huge sum of money for the 10K project, but our goal here, hopefully, is to get to our next milestone, which is $250,000. So here is the timeline and financial breakdown of what we'll do with that 2.5 million. So in the first few months, we'll complete the app and take care of all the legal and franchise paperwork. Next, we'll recruit our drivers and launch in our test market. Over the following 6 months, it's heavy marketing and promotions and selling as many franchises as we can. And the following year, it's rinse, wash, repeat with all the tweaking and adjustments that will probably be necessary, during that time. And below, you see the financial breakdown for all of this, which is $500K for the development, $400 for the legal work and permits, $100K to develop the whole franchise structure, $700K for marketing and media, $300K for for daily operational expenses. And hopefully we'll have somewhere in the neighborhood of $500K left over for the just in cases, because there's always a just in case. And because we understand the enormity of this undertaking, we have aligned ourselves with several tech partners who are waiting in the wings to help bring the Halen app to life. Kiwi Tech, Critical Rivers, and Quiddity Infotech all specialize in app development and system security, et cetera, things of that nature. And now for those two magical words that every investor loves to hear: exit strategy. Most likely, obviously, scenario for investors to cash in is, of course, the IPO when our company goes public. But then there's also possible acquisitions by some companies such as Booking Holdings and Expedia Group. And lastly, a possible merger scenario with a DoorDash or an Uber or a Lyft or some other company like that. And last but not least, a virtual introduction to the hardworking people who have been and will continue to work hard to make this all happen. Our core team includes our CTO, our Chief of System Architecture, and our tech engineers. And our illustrious advisory board, including legal counsel, franchise experts, finance leaders, and other necessary voices guiding us along the way. And of course, we end off where we began, with the man who started this all. And he will now be happy to answer any questions you may have about anything that I've gone over. So again, I want to thank you so much for your time. And there he is. How's that?
All right, very good. Thank you so much,
Thanks, Kennedy.
gentlemen.
No problem.
Guys, now's the time when you want to go ahead and put your questions in the Q&A. For anyone who's new, we do prefer you to put them in the Q&A instead of the chat, so that they don't scroll and get lost. All right. So we've got a couple of questions in here. I'll start reading them. Jackie says, are you going to put Halen in California?
Yes. It's just that's the quick, yes. And
Where do they rank on the roadmap?
So probably like after at least 1.5 years, because California has a lot of restriction. So we have to create a roadmap before we get to California. Yes.
Very good.
But with the franchise, also with the franchise model, this kind of spread a little faster than if we are opening an office ourselves, because we're just kind of selling the franchise. So we were able to use franchisees funding and stuff.
Very good. Sarah says, what incentives will you use to recruit franchise owners, drivers, etc.?
So for driver, first, I guess the value proposition for driver, we're offering them something to make a living wage. So now they don't have to treat this as just a side gig, meaning we're keeping them busy where they are able to make a real living. If you're doing ride share, grocery delivery, retail delivery, and food delivery, that means you're staying busy. Instead of you keep switching back and forth, whatever apps you have, trying to get a job, now we're keeping you busy and cutting the time, maybe from waiting time to 30 minutes. Now you're waiting maybe 3 to 5 minutes for another job. So for driver, value proposition is great. And for the franchise also, this is a 1.5 to 1.9 million revenue generation for franchise. So, and also is one of the easiest franchise to get into, because you're not worried about like building, maybe buying product. Really what you're doing is just getting the training, set up an office where you can even start for the first 3 months, you can start from home, where you set up your phone, your internet, your computer, you have the right training. And then from there, kind of build up into getting an office where you hire customer support.
Very good. Yeah, I love that you bring up the 2 phones and all of that stuff. So I was in an Uber today, and I giggled because you talked to me about it, and so I paid attention. He had 3 phones, and then Somehow he got a fancy sign because he just flipped it over and it was Lyft. So I saw the Lyft on my side of the windshield, but Uber was on the outside. So oh, wait, that's the first time I saw his nifty sign.
Yeah.
So I think he's got a plug on a good sign. But he had 3 phones, and I started to ask him what the third phone was for.
Probably
But-
Grubhub.
Right, but it's a lot, right? It's a lot.
Yeah,
And
and for,
go ahead,
yeah.
Edward.
And I was about to say for a customer, when you look at it, I did also drive for Uber. It's very frustrating for drivers. You get tired, like you're like, oh, like, and then at the end of the day, you look into how much you have made, and you're like, this is it. Like, it's very frustrating.
Mm.
And that's why probably people sometimes you experience sometime maybe a rude driver, not because they want to be rude, because they're frustrated of not enough money being made, so for them to make a living.
Yeah.
And just to add, because Ed and I discussed this, that he used to do Uber, I used to do Grubhub, so we have experience with this from the other side. But if you're not picking up orders or assignments from one because you're on the other, that starts to affect your rating. Then they'll start sending you messages like, hey, you haven't picked up anything in 20 minutes. If you're not working, I'm paraphrasing, but if you're not working, please sign off. So, so it's like, then there's pressure, then it's really a thing, and drivers have to deal with this, like you said, in order to stay busy, to actually make money to pay for their gas and pay for the, expenses of driving a car all day, every day, and all of that stuff. So again, this is, we're setting up a system that will definitely make it easier for them in the long run, short run and the long run, actually.
And then it also makes it easier for the customer, because as you just said that, Kennedy, I'm thinking about all the times that Uber showed available, but then when I said, yes, confirm, I'm ready to get it, it then became unavailable. He probably was on a Lyft run.
Exactly.
Right?
Just
Right?
put that sign over it and he was like,
Yeah. That just clicked for me. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You just available. Why not now?
Yeah.
Very good. Marilyn says, how much will a franchise cost, and when will you get to Houston? Everybody wants you in their city.
All right.
Yes, probably Houston is going to be a little bit faster than California. Texas is a little bit different than California laws. Yeah, so I want to say the franchise, it will cost, depending on the population of that county. So there's some county that might have maybe over 1 million people in a county, so the fee will be structured depending on the county. And some county might have maybe 150,000 people. So where we might end up maybe combining 2 or 3 county and give to a franchisee, because at least they have to have at least of 600,000 population in that area serving. And that can range, the price, the franchisee fee can start from $50K and kind of go up.
And do you already have a franchising partner?
No, we have a franchise board of advisor who has over 30 years franchise development. And so he's the one kind of helping putting all the elements of the franchise, what will be needed. And then after, from filing all the FDD document and everything. And once we jump into our test market, that will be able to kind of exactly put all the element, whatever is needed for our franchise to follow and stuff.
Very good.
I want to just jump in. The 5 questions or so around franchise timing, franchise costs. Probably one thing we should mention is it's very important in the test market around broader Washington. While we're implementing the franchise model, we are going to own that first franchise. We will work out every bug that there is before we bring the franchise partners in. So part of this is still model development. What's very clear to us is early on, we will have lower fees early on for franchises to help accelerate the growth. And then as it's mature, increase the fees just as a natural business model. Someone asked also what's required, and not a list of requirements, but hopefully what's coming through this presentation is this concept of community, and Halen has, for each part of the supply chain, certain value props. You heard how we value the drivers, what we want to provide. You heard how we value the franchises, and it is a large revenue model. What I leave you with tonight is, when we're going to be introducing this process to franchising, it's going to be about, will they believe in our values about community, about building? That's going to be very critical to build the right type of company that is decentralized with what we're talking about tonight.
Very
100%,
good.
100%.
Very good. So I'm going to ask another franchise question. One of the challenges in the Black community is sometimes the ability to get funding. And so I am an investor in another business that the founder was mindful enough to make sure they chose a franchising partner that also helped minorities on the funding side. So they had partnerships with the banks already kind of in line, so that investors of color could easily get those loans to become franchise owners. So if your franchise partner has not already done that, that would be an excellent addition to a beautiful business model, to be able to have some of these franchises also be Black owned.
Oh, no, for sure. Absolutely. We have discussed partnering with banks to make sure that things like that can be put in place.
Wonderful. Kenny says, when are you putting a South Carolina Halen franchise in your rotation? We should have you go through the whole map.
So South Carolina probably is going to be one of the first also state, like once we start franchising, it's going to be once we start spreading. I want to say within the first year of the first year when we start franchising. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Bernard says, is there any actual operating parts on this platform, i.e. rideshare? So Bernard, what do you mean by that question? Are there any actual operating parts? Tell us a little bit more about what you mean, Bernard, and then we'll come back to this question. Perez says, great presentation. Who will be your target market, and what are your potential concerns entering into such diverse markets?
Oh, you want to take it, Rich or Kennedy?
Well, sure. I'd be glad to take it. Target market, I'm going to go all the way out from Halen corporate on one side. How do you get this product to the end target market, which is the consumer? And this is probably where you see a lot of the research coming through what we've already shared in our marketing materials. But folks that we talk to are hungry for this life simplification concept. So the value prop to that end consumer and that we're targeting is, they're, most people are very familiar and they're already looking for simplification. That's our target market to the end user. We will have other needs involved in the complexity of the market in terms of delivery, as we said, but we think we have solved the franchise and the driver. And the last party we're investing heavily will be that retail business development side to attract not the local people that will be interested in the apps, but the national accounts. So concerns, I'll just say there is a lot to execute here, but that's the fun part of taking someone, Ed and Kennedy and the team's idea, and just it's a lot to execute. I'm not afraid to say the concern is not, oh, don't you have some huge competitors? Yeah, there's huge competitors, but our response to that is already thoughtful. It's about building a whole different delivery model of community. So from that standpoint, I believe we'll differentiate ourselves.
Very good. Anonymous says, maybe I missed it. Are drivers or customers being hit by double charges, Uber and Halen fees?
Oh, yeah.
No,
So the driver that we creating a standalone system. That means we want you, like at the same as we progress, we want you to delete the Uber. We're not connecting to Uber or Lyft. We're developing a standalone system. We're gonna have our own driver. We're gonna have our own customer relationship with restaurant or grocery. That's everything Halen.
Right, just the way Uber is different from Lyft and Lyft is different from Grubhub, Halen will be different from all of them. Now there is no connection whatsoever. Well, like I said, we'll just be doing what they all do. We'll just do it in one spot.
So we come in to tell you, like, delete Uber, Grubhub, Airbnb, Kayak, delete all this bunch of apps. Use one app because you don't need them. So you don't have to enter your personal credit card in 6 different apps. Just one app, it will solve everything for you.
Right. Right. And you don't have to sign away your life with the terms and conditions that we never read either, right?
And
right. And your privacy and all of those things that we leave exposed when we download a million apps.
And one other thing, I don't know if you maybe have experienced this. I was talking to one of my friends about a Volvo. He wanted to buy a Volvo. I never seen a commercial for Volvo. And next thing, I'm opening Facebook, I see Volvo commercial, and I'm like, oh, someone was listening to me. So with this 6 app security, and you don't have to be tracked by 6 different app, whatever. So
yeah, I love that. Tammy says, can crypto be used to pay for services?
Yes. So that's a little bit more into, it goes more into it where we have to create. There's more into where you have to be created like a wallet and kind of receiving, be able to exchange, and it's more into detail. Yes, we should be able to.
It's a little bit down the road, but it is happening. Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Does Halen add a surcharge for increased gas prices whenever gas prices go up? That's an interesting question.
Probably we're gonna follow that models too, depending on how the gas charges go up, because we want to be able to because even the gas prices just go directly to the driver, so it's not coming to the company. So we want to be able to provide service, but at the same time, it's not gonna be like right now. I'm not sure how much exactly they end up adding with Lyft or Uber. But yes, in short answer, yes.
Very good. Just curious, in our participants list for everybody joining us, are there any Uber, Lyft, Instacart people, that do that in with us tonight? I'd love to, and I'm sorry, I just improvised with this, but I'd love to ask them, right? Because they're the people we're solving you're solving the problem partially for them and then for the customer. I'd love to hear if there's anyone here in the community that does that or has done it. And what do you think about this solution? Because as a customer, I love it, right? I've said that. I said that to the family already. I love it as a customer, but I'm wondering, a lot of times we try to solve a problem for people and doesn't really solve the problem, right? Yeah. And so I'm wondering what they think. So Diane says, yes, Uber Eats occasionally. Okay, very good. Thank you, Diane, for sharing that with us. James says, I'm sorry if I missed it. When do you plan on launching again?
We plan to launch our test market in the DC area, like a 45-mile radius in DC in October.
Very good. So Diane, let me ask you, what do you think about this solution that the team has built, that the Halen team has built? And you can go ahead and type it there in the chat if you'd like. While Diane's doing that, I'll go to Perez's next question. How are the potential vendors chosen?
So the potential vendors you're talking about, like, so there's vendor that have already on an open API. So meaning we are able to open an account and just kind of plug into the API and extract all the information to be displayed on our app. But if a vendor, like let's say a mom and pop spot, maybe we decide to give them our API that we designed to give them to just upload their menu, upload whatever product they have, so it can be accessible to our application.
And that's one of the features that we think is going to be appealing to, again, having a franchise in the community. Things like you said, like a mom and pop diner or a small boutique store or something like that. Since we do retail, all of these things can now have a delivery service for them, whereas, Uber or the bigger companies, the established companies, they won't even know they exist.
Right.
But because the franchise owner is from that community, he knows this person, that person, they have a store, they have a, and so like I said, it gets that personal community feeling going. And again, that's something that will separate us from our competitors.
Very good. So Diane shared some insight. She said she thinks it'll be good for drivers. She says, as a consumer, she doesn't like the idea of the super app because she doesn't like the idea of lessening competition. Interesting. She says, I worry about companies that are too large. Reminds me of WeChat in China, which is very bad. Very, very interesting. Well, see, it's funny because the way I see this scenario is the Halen team's coming in to kind of to break up that monopoly, right? That the big boys have. So I actually see if the super app was on the other side, Diane, I would agree with you, but the super app is now in the minority company's hand, right? The smaller company. And so I think that's kind of a nice little play. What will the big boys do now that they don't have the super app?
Yeah, Diane, this is Rich. I certainly appreciate that, what you expressed. We appreciate the confidence that you have in our size, because we feel like the David to the Goliath. Absolutely. But thank you for that, for sharing that.
Right. And let me respond also with this, and you may not like it, Diane, and I totally get what you're saying, but at this point in time, it's almost inevitable, because Uber has been trying to develop a super app system. They can't do it the way we do it. They can't do it organically how we're doing it, because their system is already set. But that's why there's Uber Eats. That's why there's Uber Freight. That's why they're trying to do travel in the UK. Everyone sees that the super app is the future, and now they're trying to do what they can to create a super app system. So kind of like what Tawana said, if we don't do it, someone is going to do it. It's going to happen.
Let's talk about that for a minute. So you make a good point, is that these companies have already built the tech, right? So they already built it with one thing in mind. But as they're growing and expanding, they didn't necessarily build it to easily add on. So now you end up with these other subs where you're starting with the super app. So you build the best of the best out the gate.
Exactly.
Yeah. So their system architecture is 20 years ago, right? So now with the new system, and of course, like when they started, all this other thing it was not popular. It was more just taking over the ride share, and then food came later, then grocery came. So by that time, they already built the foundation of the system architecture. It's like building a house. You cannot just build a 4-bedroom house and then we're like, oh, let me just add some stuff on top of it. So it doesn't allow that with the system. And also, in addition to the question about being a huge company, I think that's what she said, right? She said being a huge company. Yes, in a way, we'll become, like, let's say we go to that level, we become a bigger company, but we're not really more of a bigger company in comparison like to WeChat. WeChat is owned by a single entity. We are distributing this to franchise. So this make it more of local owned instead of just saying, hey, this is just a huge big company that owns everything. It's owned by a local franchise. That's how we kind of distributing, not to make it like this company is so huge, kind of it takes over everything, kind of, Anyway, where sometimes I heard like where the government end up kind of breaking the company, kind of getting in the middle.
Monopolies.
We not that. Yeah, we're not in like in WeChat kind of comparison.
That was a good note. That was really good.
Yeah.
Tuesday says, I'd love to be on your marketing team when you're at the point of advertising. Okay.
I like that. That's good.
Very good.
Get in touch with us.
Tuesday, can you be on 10K Projects marketing team too? Marilyn says, are there opportunities for potential future franchise owners to get involved during this startup phase?
Great question. Probably, Rich, do you want to say something? I will say probably we'll have to bring that conversation to our board of advisors who's a franchise developer, because I know we cannot accept money from someone who wants to buy a franchise in advance, because we have to finish all the FTD document and everything. But in terms of like, if they want to invest in our campaign and just have an open conversation, we can definitely kind of maybe find a way to kind of maybe offer them a franchisee at a lower price because they're already also an investor. So maybe that's the kind of quick answer for now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bernard says also, you mentioned that the company will offer flight booking. How will you make money on domestic flights? I've been in travel business for over 20 years. Domestic flights pay no commission.
So from that, I guess it's just from the relationship that we have to develop and prove to the flight company, where we say, hey, this month we gave you $1 million revenue. So now we need to get percentage from every sale that we make. In the beginning, we're not gonna have a really big voice with them, but because we have to prove to them that we are bringing a lot of customer to them for us to be able to negotiate pricing, either percentage or whatever pricing that we'll be able to negotiate with them.
Very good. James says, will the app be free itself?
Yes, it's a free app. Yep.
Eddie says, evening, gentlemen, brilliance on display yet again. I just received a posting from a person on a neighborhood app stating that their Uber Eats driver stole a package from their porch. Says, really, I can't make this up. What screening system will Halen employ to hopefully miss these types of employees? As we all know, one bad employee can really damage a brand.
Yes.
Very good question.
So yes, one of the company that we're going to be using for background check, fully background, it's called Checker. We're going to be using that to leverage all their background information. And of course, one of the other good thing is having a local franchise. They are more close to the problem, right? So like, let's say if someone gets stolen and you kind of already know, we are able to track also driver, right? And you say, hey, one of your driver just stole something on my address, this. We are able to see which driver was in that location, right? We are able to kind of either call them in, kind of be like, hey, the managers want to talk to you, or we talk to them by phone. It should be, in the beginning, probably we're gonna have to be learning a lot of stuff too as we go and implement more security measures and stuff. Yeah.
Very good.
But the local franchisee is gonna be very, very good for either customer support and just driver also support, because we are very close to the customer. So like literally, it's almost kind of, if something happened, you already have the support right there. So you don't have to worry about like, oh, I'm going to get an answer 2 days, 3 days later, whatever. Yeah.
Very good. Did we talk about, and I apologize if I missed this, did we talk about any criteria that the drivers would need to have? Like, you know, like Uber has a certain type of vehicle that you're allowed, right? Are those same standards in place at Halen?
Yes, we started with the 6 years model for vehicle, like it has to be 6 years or newer. Then we kind of playing with the idea of 8 years maybe, but we're not gonna go to 10, maybe 6, 8 years. Vehicle has to be 4 doors. And also we're trying to find a way also for customer to notify us, was the car in good shape? Like let's say maybe your driver picked you up and the car was like the whole fender is pushed in, right? So we might not have a way of knowing the driver, maybe their car when we inspected it 2 weeks ago was good. Now a week later, they have a huge fence. So we're looking for a way to be able to communicate with customers who can be able to notify us. Like, was the car clean? Was the car good? Anything you want to report? And then from there, we might end up saying, like, let's say 2 customers report the same thing back to back. Then we're like, okay, let's call this driver to come into the office of the franchisee. Let's inspect the vehicle. And we're also putting a lot of plans into developing like a training video for driver where they will be able to be trained either bi-weekly, where they receive a video like on their phone, on their app, a notification, say, watch this video. Maybe we say, we give them some time. You have to watch this in 2 days. If you don't watch this in 2 days, you'll be blocked until you watch it. And the video will be short, 3 to 5 minutes. It can be training about sexual harassment, customer support, whatever it is. There are a few other things that we are putting like to make sure
I love
you know,
that.
for the best service. Yep.
I mean, I'm a 30-year HR professional. I love stuff like that. That's good because what it's going to do is give your customers another level of feeling secure, right?
Yeah.
Right. And feeling like this business has a staff of kind of a higher caliber, right? I'm not going to have to worry about the Halen guy taking a bite out of my sandwich, right? I'm not going to have to worry, I mean, listen, it happens.
Exactly.
It
Yeah.
happens.
I've heard, yes.
It has happened.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about the bait and switch with the car, right? I think I'm getting a nice car because it's Uber, right? All the cars are supposed to be of a standard, but then I don't feel like I can touch the door handle because it's filthy. Like those things matter to customers. They absolutely do. So I love that compliance piece of having them watch these training videos to increase the chance of them wanting to improve the service they provide. I absolutely love that idea.
Yeah.
Very good. Crystal says, are drivers able to select which type of deliveries they are interested in? For example, they may not want to do the grocery stuff, but they want to deliver from the restaurants.
Yes, they're able to select whatever service they're able to select.
That's one of the features that I'm really happy about that we're implementing. So yes, when you go into the app, if you're a driver, you sign on, you actually get to, because we have 4 services, you actually get to pick which services you want to perform that day. I always say, like, if you're not feeling particularly sociable, you take off rideshare and you just deliver groceries, or you deliver, retail or whatever. And, if you're feeling friendly, you have them all. If you can literally create the type of day you want as a driver.
Nice. Anonymous says, will drivers be considered contractors or employees and receive things like health benefits?
Yeah, so we are trying to create 2 models, like where we have contractor and also employees. But with the employees, also we have a limitation. Either you have to only work 40 hours with no overtime, right? And also maybe no holidays. So there are a few things that we are trying to work. And also with the contractor, right now our human capital is working on trying to find ways where we can, even the contractor, we want to be able to say, hey, we want to offer you healthcare. Like, let's say, even if you say you have Obamacare, let's say we're going to give you $200-300 a month toward that healthcare. So we are still doing research on that one also. Yeah.
I see you trying to keep them with just one phone. I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
Kenny says Halen is the NFT of the rideshare. I like it.
Yeah.
Perez says, what's your exit strategy and what are your plans for data security and usage?
So like, I don't know if he was there for our presentation for the pitch deck. So our exit strategy, we have of course, the kind of 3 things, either going public, either acquisition or merger with someone in the industry. But our first one will be IPO.
Very good. And then Eddie says, if you have not already implemented, I strongly encourage Halen to utilize official badges with ID information that a driver would have to validate with a rider's app information for that driver. This will be huge in today's time of abduction.
I like that. Oh, sorry. Actually, the thing that was asking of also security.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. Security, right? What was the question again? Sorry.
Yeah, that was the previous question. So hold on, let me go to the previous question.
Yes, that actually the last question, the suggestion, that was really good.
That was good.
I guess with more technology, there's a lot of things that we can kind of implement to just kind of make sure
The
make
safety of the
sure,
customer.
yeah, customer.
because so one of the other things that has happened to me before, again with my Uber
Data security.
situation, is the car that showed up on the app as what was going to arrive was not the car that arrived. But
Yeah.
when the driver got there, he knew my name, right? And I'm smart enough to let him say it first, right? So, but he knew my name. I did not get in. I said, this is not the car. And he said, yeah, my car is in the shop. My regular car is in the shop. This is my loaner car. I was like,
No, yeah, yeah,
I was like, I appreciate it, bro, but I ain't gonna be able to do it, right?
yeah, you're right.
I'm abductible. I'm not gonna be able to do it. So
No, that's actually good.
So, but that kind of stuff, how do you avoid things like that? Like, I feel like, I know he didn't want to lose his money, right, for that day or week or however long his car was down, but it was very risky and I didn't like it, but I kept thinking, what could he have done differently, right, to still make money? Is there a way that that he could have notified Halen, right, to say, I'm in a different car today, and here is the new information for today's vehicle? But to not have any update just wasn't a good feel.
No, actually, even the Uber or Lyft, they already have that
Really?
that option where you have to update the vehicle that if you're changing the vehicle. But this person might have just, whatever he was into. But also with Helen, when you request a vehicle, it's going to be able to tell you the vehicle model, the color, and the driver, of course, information. So you are able to, like, if we say it's going to be a Toyota and a Jeep show up, you'd be like, no, it was a Toyota, Corolla or whatever. So I'm not going to jump in the Jeep, whatever. So yeah, it's going to have all the information. And of course, of the number warning to, like, make sure you pay attention to the vehicle you're about to get in.
Good.
The question about data.
The second part, you got that there?
Yes, the data security. So we have this vendor partner who is also an investor. So they're kind of putting all the element for us for like all the either automation, penetration to their application, just to make sure, like, we really, because once we come to the market, once we introduce this to a market, there's going to be a lot of bad people, hackers, going to be trying to get into our system. So we're going to be making sure from the beginning that we creating this system that is going to be super duper impossible to kind of penetrate. And probably, like, I wish I had more information into the data security, but yes, that's one of our high priority for us to have a very secure system.
Very, very good. Any additional questions? If you have any additional questions, please put them in the Q&A for the gentleman. Give a few minutes for anyone to ask some additional questions. There we go. Perez says, I asked that question because of the data that the app has the potential to have on the consumer is a huge data set of buying habits.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's a huge service. It's a huge data. So yeah, you're right. You're correct.
Very good point, Perez. Any additional questions before we close out and give our final comments?
And I'm being also a member of the 10K project. I'm just excited to be part of this community. And please, if you want to find me also on LinkedIn, I like to connect with people. And just if you have some suggestions, some questions, even on the campaign, just shoot them. Yep.
Wonderful. Well, I'll give my final closing comments, and then I'll turn it over to you gentlemen. And then we can go Rich, Kennedy, and then Edward. First of all, thank you guys for coming to the 10K project. We really appreciate it. Our job here is to support our Black founders through investing and then also becoming your first customers, right? So we are twofold here in how we provide support to you. And so, we want to wish you much luck and blessings, right? on the progress that your campaign makes, and then even as you get the company up and running, right? Because getting the capital is one thing, but then implementing and executing everything is a whole nother thing. And so we just wish you all the best in that regard and in that journey. For the community members, you know, I always tell you, do your due diligence, right? I'm not going to say anything different this evening because we have to be healthy and responsible investors, because what you don't want is, and what we don't want is for you trying to call Edward and Kennedy and Rich, you know, in the middle of the night talking about, I want my $100 back, right? That's not a thing. So we want you to be educated, healthy investors, right? So definitely, you know, do your due diligence. If you need to watch this replay again to make sure all your questions are answered, if you need to ask additional questions on the WeFunder site, please do. I have two things that I want to ask you to do, however. I want you to share this link, right? The campaign link. I want you to share it with everyone you know, right? Post it on your social media, tell your friends about it, tell your non-friends about it, just tell people about it, right? Because we know, based on what we've seen tonight, that this is something new, right? And so to have something that is innovative, cutting edge, be created by a Black man, right? And to have a team working on this so that it can get to market and make the lives of both the service providers as well as the consumers' life easier is game changing, right? We always talk about, you know, does the problem that they solve is it just a local problem? Is it a national problem? Is it a global problem, right? And you kind of make your determination on if this fits in your portfolio based on what kind of problem is it solving and what's the potential target market, right? And I know that question came up today. What's the target market? You know, I want you to consider all of that when you're making your own decision on if you want to invest in this. But share this campaign, because I can't see where this doesn't affect someone, right? Because we're all consumers, right, of a lot of these things that the guys are solving for. And many in the minority community, many are also the Uber drivers, the Instacart, right, the Grubhub delivery. We have these jobs. And so when we talk about making life better for our community and building wealth and all of that, what the guys are saying is that these providers of the services today are losing money because of downtime, right? That's a big loss for them. And if their solution removes that downtime, then they essentially make more money that helps their family get to the next level of their wealth building goals and journey, right? And it's in line with what it is we're all here trying to do. It's just make the next, you know, allow the next phase of life for people to be better than the last, and give them the tools that they need to build wealth, grow wealth, and be in a better place for their family. And so I love how what you're doing ties right in with the overall mission of why we are all here at the 10K Project. So thank you very much, guys, for sharing this project with us and for coming to the 10K Project and giving us a first look at this. With that said, Rich, I'll turn it over to you for final words.
Yeah, thank you. And with what you heard tonight around the technology, around the business model, what I really want to leave you with tonight, there was a side question in the chat room. It's a good transition question. Will my data be shared, be sold as a revenue stream? And this is what I leave you behind all the business thinking that we shared, the technology thinking. I want to repeat the idea of community and integrity, because the answer is no. It doesn't fit with a community model. It doesn't fit with the integrity that we're trying to build through people's lives. And it's not the fact that the answer is no. I want to leave you with the type of company that we're trying to build here. And just, it's a good transition question to reflect that. So thank you. I really appreciate it, enjoyed it, and look forward to hearing more from you folks.
Thank you, Rich. Kennedy?
So first, thank you so much for having us on. I personally have, as many Black people have in this country, lamented the lack of togetherness that Black people have been able to create together. And when Ed told me about this 10K project, of course, I'm originally from Brooklyn, so I'm like, let's see what's going on here.
I'm from the Bronx, so I get it.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And it was just really refreshing, and I was so happy that this is real. And enormous numbers of Black people, people of color, have decided to try to put their money where their mouth is. Obviously, I want us to be successful. Obviously, I want this to work, but it's not just for, building a better life for myself and my family, et cetera, et cetera. When I said earlier, that we have the chance to be the largest Black tech company in America, now I want that for the purposes of representing our people. There's just not enough representation. There's not enough people who can actually, make things happen. I want it to be so that when Ed says, hey, that's an interesting company over there, everyone turns to it and sees that person like, hey, Ed said, that's the company to go to. So let's make that. And I want that power for our people.
Yeah.
So I'm extremely, again, grateful that you guys had us on. From what I can see from the responses, you guys understood what we were saying, you appreciated what we were saying, and I just look forward to being able to represent our community in the best way possible moving forward.
Very nice. Edward, bring us home.
Thank you. Before actually I say anything, I wanted to kind of share this. Not that one. This is a Form C. Actually, we just got it from WeFinder. This morning. They just want us to kind of go through, verify everything. If everything is look good, they will be able to file everything.
Good.
Yes. But with that all said, actually, I just also like I expressed to you, Tawana, like how much I love the idea of the 10K project and how much I wanted to be part of the community. And we just really appreciate for you guys giving us a chance to do this presentation. And we're looking forward into just kind of connecting with people, either LinkedIn or just kind of any question you guys have. And of course, I'll be attending also to the other pitch, whatever is going on with the 10K project.
Nice.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And again, to the community, the assignment, right? You know what the assignment is. And so now the ball's in your court to do what you need to do to get this company and your family to its next step in this next phase of success. All right, guys, with that said, we will see you next week. I love you all. Thank you so much. Cherie and I are so grateful to have a community of members that support us and that believe in our mission as we continue to change the world one Black founder at a time. So thank you, guys. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.